Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about The Bad Batch Season 3, the mid-season double, the two most recent episodes. We've spoken about some of the more major aspects of the episode. We've spoken in depth about the theories concerning the mysterious clone assassin. We dove into the importance of Omega, Commander Wolffe, and today I want to talk about something I've been thinking deeply about, some of the more subtle elements of the episode that further our understanding of the political side of the galaxy at this time, and the true nature of the Empire's propaganda, the way it would twist versions of events, and frame them in a way that makes them look like the good guys, and conversely, everyone who opposes them like the early rebels as the bad guys. There is a crucial detail you may have missed. Let's start from the top. So as we know, there are small pockets of anti-imperials starting to grow throughout the galaxy, the likes of Ryo Chuchi, who's trying to form alliances with former separatists, Bail Organa, Captain Rex, but nothing widespread. There is no such rebel alliance just yet. But the Empire still feels threatened by any kind of group of insurgents, be they partisans like Saw Gerrera, Clone Force 99 the Bad Batch, or Captain Rex and Echo saving clones. Maybe threatened is a strong word, but the Empire is definitely trying to shut down any rebel activity. And a big part of this comes in the form of a tactical approach to how to deal with certain groups. And the most recent episode, Episode 7 Extraction, gave us a very small insight into what I'm talking about. So the first thing we need to address is the secrecy of the Empire from their own ranks. As we know, the Emperor, Sheev Palpatine, and Dr. Hemlock are keeping Mount Tantiss and Wayland a secret, even from other Imperial leaders. So your average galactic citizen has no idea there is any experimentation going on. If the Empire is keeping it a secret from their own, obviously no one else in the galaxy can know. And so in the same fashion they're keeping Tantiss a secret, they're also hiding clone insurgency from other clones. Commander Wolffe was very naive. He stayed loyal to the Empire but had no idea they were fighting clones. When Rex confronts him at the end, he is so taken aback, so surprised the Empire would ever experiment on them. Dr. Hemlock uses clones at Tantiss, both for Project Necromancer and the Shadow Operative program. They become brainwashed, fiercely loyal to the Empire, and for them, it's kind of game over. They're just a tool for the Imperial machine to use, and then they're going to dispose of them. But for clones like Wolffe, who are not subjected to this, they have no clue any of this is going on, so they think they're still useful to the Empire, and they see it as an extension of the Republic. They think they're working for the good guy, making the galaxy a better place. And if you notice, Commander Wolffe was so distrustful of the Shadow Trooper. He had no idea who this operative was. He knew he was deployed by the Empire but didn't know it was a clone who'd been brainwashed and reprogrammed. Wolffe was very sharp with him, and so when Wolffe and his soldiers find out the insurgents are clones, he is absolutely gobsmacked. And this is where the main point of the video comes in. Commander Wolffe ensured their blasters were set to stun, but this command wasn't just from Wolffe. It wasn't just him deciding they can't harm the other clones, it came from Hemlock, because he needed them to capture Omega unharmed. So setting their blasters to stun made the most sense. The Empire couldn't risk a stray blaster bolt killing the only clone whose blood is important to Project Necromancer. But here's the thing. During the debacle on Teth, Rex and his men were not shooting to stun, they were shooting to kill. We know why the Empire was using stun instead of blast, but Rex and our heroes not using stun and full blast is a marked change. They understood what was at risk, they had to protect Omega, there is no going back. The galaxy is a different place to the first two seasons when they did use stun. But this scene is very important because I think the Empire could turn around and use their choice of blaster setting against them to further their propaganda. Let me explain. It evoked the famous scene from Episode 4 A New Hope. The Stormtroopers blast Leia with stun, but she uses her blaster on the lethal setting. This very small discrepancy is actually very important, because this is a way both in canon and some expanded universe sources, Imperial propagandists, whenever information on certain assaults and missions were made public, would spin the narrative to make the rebels seem like bloodthirsty killers, whereas the Empire were the good guys who were just going to stun them and then take them in for a lawful, judicial process, which of course isn't true. And this episode, in a very similar way, pushes the same idea. But it hasn't always been this way, and as I say for Hemlock, he needs Omega alive, so stun was the most logical thing. But with Palpatine there is always an ulterior motive. If it wasn't for Omega, Hemlock would have commanded they use lethal blaster fire. And even if it came back to bite them, the Empire will always frame the rebels, the insurgents, as those who caused the harm, and the Empire being the savior of the galaxy. Now we know Commander Wolffe defied the Empire's orders and let the clones go, and we know he's going to eventually defect and join Rex. But until that point, we could see in Wolffe just how much propaganda he bought into. Not being a clone on Tantis, he never saw the worst of Palpatine or Hemlock's agendas. And if you noticed, this kind of tension between the clone operative and Wolffe's men is demonstrating a very similar disparity between the two ideologies. Wolffe's heart and care for the clones show, because the operative was using blaster fire and not stun. Wolffe thought he was being too careless, and due to the clones' programming, was defying the orders to bring the girl in alive. He was just trying to shoot the group. Wolffe's men, including the commandos, listened to him. They were more allegiant to Wolffe's decisions and leadership than the Empire's orders to pursue the clones. They just went with it. So the fact there are still non-brainwashed clones is very good news for the cause of Rex and Echo, even if they probably won't see too much success. Wolffe is one of the ones they are going to save. And I think another reason that Rex and his men are not shooting to stun but rather to kill is they know that if those troopers stay loyal to the Empire, they're going to face a fate worse than death. Being sent to Tantis is one of those fates. And Wolffe's ultimate approach to this entire situation, as a Rebels fan, really made me love the character more. It portrayed how good soldiers don't always follow orders blindly, without consideration, something which at this stage Crosshair understands better than anyone. And it's also important to note, in regards to the Bad Batch's next steps, they know the desire to recapture Omega from the Empire's part isn't just to use her as leverage, but also for her DNA, which has just raised the stakes. The Bad Batch can't dally around, and Hunter now needs to find out, why does the Empire want her so badly? And as others have noted, despite it being animated, this series is very dark and gritty, very similar to the Andor show. And as I say, everything we're seeing the Empire do in the third season is hidden from the eyes of the rest of the galaxy. While the Empire doesn't broadcast their defeats, when they do lose a fight, things like this make it easier for the Empire to spin Rex and his clones as rebel extremists, and the Empire as the galaxy's police, doing what they say is best for everyone. Palpatine can twist any situation to his advantage, which we even saw in Season 2. The Rampart's Camino Senate hearing should have been cause for everyone to be outraged that the Empire was performing such terrible atrocities under everyone's nose. But instead, Rampart was framed as the bad guy, and the Empire's intentions as good, and that maybe it was time to retire the clones, because Palpatine spun it as the defective nature of the clones that caused such a terrible thing to happen on Camino. So the narrative is always in their favour. The Bad Batch Season 3 is proving to be one of the most dark but powerful stories in all of Star Wars animation, and certainly one of my absolute favourites so far. The philosophical underpinnings, the attention to detail, themes of having liberty stripped away, identity of clones, it's top quality stuff. And I can't wait for next week's episode, Episode 8, Bad Territory. We're going into the second half of Season 3, and after next week, everyone, and I mean everyone, including the reviewers and the outlets, is going in absolutely blind, and that's so exciting. Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about down below, and if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.